today's video, I show you how I turned this pink box into Fishermans Wharf's bar. So of course, the first place you start when doing any build is you start to block out the scene itself. I put down a light so that would signify the entrance and where Red would be when he entered the bar. Next, I started messing about with the bar itself and where and roughly the shape of it, just so that I knew where I wanted everything, and it's always the best way to kind of block it out first so that you can kind of have that imagination and decide where you're wanting everything. I started working on some steps at the side. Originally it was going to have two side staircases, so one at the far left, one at the far right, which I think you see at some point. I ended up doing away with that just because I like the kind of concept of having like a stage on the far right where kind of bards and stuff would play, so I started thinking about kind of where that would be. Originally I was just going to make the bar bigger so it would have an area for the staircase and for the bards. I decided against this just because I thought I'm basically making the bar bigger for absolutely no reason. It doesn't really serve a purpose, at least in Dream's version of this game. Next I started making some tables. I've always loved those kind of barrel-esque tables, or almost like they're big rolling pins that have the thread, like big versions of them. I think they're not corks, but I'm sure you get what I mean. I'm not entirely sure with the actual terminology of it, but not that everything is shrunk down or anything. I just love those kind of stylized tables, and I thought, well, everything's paper, so let's get one of these kind of cork wooden tables that we can have in the bar. And of course I go back to actually shaping the bar into something. Luckily I actually did go into this with a few references. There's a lot of kind of bars, well, there's bars everywhere in the world, but there's a lot of bars in Scotland that have these like really nice kind of layouts and patterns in them, so I decided to actually base this off of one of my local ones, and especially this bit. This is actually probably my favourite part of the bar. I'm just kind of, you know, when you go up to a bar and you've kind of got that that different flooring there. Well, I really wanted that kind of like kind of rimmed in where it's got the black and white kind of checkered flooring. I wanted that as your kind of waiting area rather than just have the wood everywhere. And the wood you've probably seen thousands of times before. I use this wood quite often when I'm working in different areas within the game, just because it does look like a good flooring, and if you change the colour it does actually make a big difference when it comes to, you know, how often you think you're seeing it versus how often it's actually used. And again, I used a wee bit of gold rim here to get in the checkered pattern that I was talking about, and I actually think it turned out really, really nice. Now again, this is probably my favourite part of the bar, and it was probably the most taken from real life, that when I was actually deciding how the bar should look, this is kind of where I came to. And obviously now I'm fitting in the different flooring and getting that kind of checkered path. I actually messed up a few times. I didn't know how big I wanted the checkers and stuff like that. Eventually I kind of came to a sort of semi-big, you know, yeah, you'll see it in 2 seconds. So of course, now that I've added the gold trim on the floor, I decided that the bar would have a sort of darkened wood and gold trim feel to it all around. So I'm basically just shaping that up to fit around the bar. I just had to do a few wee adjustments. I do end up making it a bit thinner, just so that it's not kind of too much. But really the bar ended up way better than I expected. I ended up actually giving it 2 rims, as you can see here, and I think it turned out really nice, and I think we're just about to let Red run about in the area to kind of get a feel for how he is within the space, because that's very important, because you can make an area look stunning, but if you've got Red, who's the little character, by the way, just in case you didn't clock onto that, if you've got Red running about and he doesn't feel like he fits in that area, you've got yourself a bit of an issue. So I always have Red just kind of run about and see how it feels, and luckily it felt really nice. And now we're up the top, basically just trying to sculpt a rim around the top layer, and of course a banister. Now the banisters were actually a bit of a nightmare. I went through a few iterations on how I wanted like the banister to be. I have the unfortunate curse that whenever I'm working on anything long and cylindrical, it tends to look like a penis. This doesn't help with the fact that whenever you sculpt anything in Dreams, it has that like pale skin colour basically. So anything you do work on tends to take on a sort of penis facade. I'm now sorry for saying penis 3 times in the video. So yeah, I had a wee bit of an issue with this, and obviously the game is paper aesthetic, but I love the having some things 2D and some things 3D. It makes everything not feel kind of one note, which, don't get me wrong, can work. However, I just like a bit of variation. So unfortunately we didn't get a lot of footage of the later stages of the bar. I thought I did, I recorded this a long time ago, but apparently not. So you'll see a lot of stuff filled in, mirrors, bottles, we're now making the glass and stuff like that. So as where we stand, the bar is done, it's all decorated and it has people in. So what I'm going to show you now is just some of the bar as is in its kind of completed state, and you can definitely let me know how you feel in the comments below. Obviously this is just us adding in some last minute touches to make the bar feel filled and lived in within this world. And yeah, so here we go, here is the final state of the bar. As you can see, it does have all the patrons in it. Some of them are holding bottles, some of them are just chatting away and stuff like that. We've obviously got one of the guards there as well. They will be a bit more animated, and I'm looking to kind of make them a bit more unique. But most of them, in fact all of them, are just kind of background characters. But yeah, this is actually the first time you're seeing the top floor as well. So there's a kind of tablecloth over some of the kind of nicer tables and stuff like that. And I think it really turned out nice. It's the music hasn't been done for it yet, but Salt is working on it as we speak, who's my musical resident. And here's some of the assets up close. You can see all the bottles. They've just either get X or ale on them and stuff like that, just as a kind of nod to alcohol, but obviously I don't want to get that age rating slapped on me. But yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this. I have plenty more footage of building other things in the game. If you really did enjoy this, please consider subbing to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!